Chapter 1. Felix, how did you convince Nadia to die with you? She loves me to death. I told her I couldn't go on, so naturally, she insisted on following me. Felix, you really know how to handle your wife. No wonder you're our role model. But won't Nadia throw a fit if she finds out you're doing all this for Miranda? How long could she possibly freak out? She won't last 3 days before coming back to me. I clutched my stomach, leaning weakly against the man beside me. With a cold gaze, I turned to the group not far away and said icily, "This time, that won't happen. Felix, bring the marriage certificate tomorrow. We're going to the courthouse to get a divorce." Chapter 2. The moment the group saw me, their pupils widened in shock. Of course, their reaction wasn't because of me. It was because of the man I was leaning against. "You Uncle Irving, why are you with Nadia?" "Nadia, stop this nonsense. We'll talk about our issues at home." "Don't bother Irving," Felix stammered, springing up from the sofa where he had been lounging, his guilt evident. "This bar is owned by the Jameson family," Irving Jameson stated flatly. The implication was clear, his presence here needed no further explanation. "Since when?" I didn't know," Felix said, confusion flashing across his face. Irving merely replied, "As of now." "Is that a problem?" The arrogance of wealth was on full display, leaving everyone speechless. Chapter 3. I'm not making a scene. "Felix, we're getting a divorce." I calmly placed the ring, which I had already removed, on the table, my tone resolute. Felix grabbed my arm, attempting to pull me to his side. At the same time, he kept darting nervous glances at Irving, as though worried about a rebuke. But the next moment, he froze, realizing he couldn't move me. Because my hand was tightly intertwined with Irving's. The entire room fell silent as everyone turned to look. Following Felix's stunned gaze, they saw our clasped hands, and then Irving's large hand firmly resting on my waist. Their jaws dropped in unison, wide enough to fit an egg. Chapter 3. I'm not making a scene. "Felix, we're getting a divorce." I calmly placed the ring, which I had already removed, on the table, my tone resolute. Felix grabbed my arm, attempting to pull me to his side. At the same time, he kept darting nervous glances at Irving, as though worried about a rebuke. But the next moment, he froze, realizing he couldn't move me. Because my hand was tightly intertwined with Irving's. The entire room fell silent as everyone turned to look. Following Felix's stunned gaze, they saw our clasped hands, and then Irving's large hand firmly resting on my waist. Their jaws dropped in unison, wide enough to fit an egg. Chapter 4. You Uncle Irving, what is this supposed to mean? After years of marriage, I could easily see through Felix's thin veneer of composure, masking his frustration and anger. Irving remained expressionless, but tightened his grip on my waist. "As you can see, Uncle Irving, this has to be a joke. And it's not funny at all. Nadia is my wife, your niece-in-law," Felix exclaimed, his voice rising in panic. "Not for much longer." Irving's tone was calm, almost dismissive. I seized the moment to add, "The moment you made a pact to die with me, only to use it as a ploy to win back Miranda, I stopped being your wife. Nadia, stop this nonsense. Dragging Uncle Irving into this charade to fool me? That's outrageous. Apologize to him, now. Whether you show up tomorrow or not, the divorce will be finalized," Irving said, his tone unwavering. "From now on, when you see Nadia, remember to call her aunt." Without waiting for Felix's response, Irving pulled me away, leaving him to stew in silence. Chapter 5. In the car, Irving shot me a meaningful glance. "Satisfied?" I quickly plastered on a smile, eager to please. My hands moved to massage his shoulders, then his back. "Since you're satisfied, it's time for us to settle accounts." The seriousness laced with playfulness in his tone made me tense. Instinctively, I tried to retreat. But I didn't get far. "You knew Felix wouldn't actually go through with dying." So why did you foolishly agree to die with him? Because. Only like this. Would you feel sorry for me, Uncle Irving? I said softly, my hand sliding up his shoulder as my breath lingered against his ear. Irving swiftly pinned my hand, pulling me onto his lap. His handsome face closed the distance between us, his gaze unwavering. Make me feel sorry for you, and then what? And then. I deliberately trailed off, letting the ambiguity hang between us. My hands brushed over his soup-clad shoulders, my eyes glinting with deliberate suggestion. He leaned in closer, erasing the space between us. I exhaled softly against his lips, planting a fleeting kiss before trailing my lips to his ear. Uncle Irving, do you remember what you said the last time we met? Chapter 6. My name is Nadia. I've loved my husband, Felix, for 7 years. But in his heart, there has always been someone else, his first love, Miranda Miller. When Miranda left the country, he was devastated. I stayed by his side, helping him piece his life back together. That's how we ended up married. But happiness didn't last. This is only our 3rd year of marriage, and Miranda has returned. Over these 3 years, whenever anything involved Miranda, no matter how late, Felix would personally handle it. We fought countless times because of her. But in the end, I was always the one to back down first. What could I do? I loved him too much. I believed that if I was patient enough, understanding enough, we could keep moving forward together. But I hadn't expected that Miranda's return would make things even worse. He spent every day with her. His excuse? Miranda was heartbroken from her divorce, and he needed to comfort her. Comfort her? What kind of comfort involves hotel rooms? Chapter 7. I wanted so badly to believe Felix's claim that he was only comforting Miranda. But how could anyone comfort someone by taking them to a hotel? I couldn't believe it. So I went to the hotel myself, to see with my own eyes whether my love had been trampled on. When I saw the scattered clothes on the floor of that hotel room, my heart shattered into pieces, just like those discarded garments. Ah. Felix, this is wrong. We can't do this to Nadia, Miranda's voice said, trembling with false innocence. I can't promise you anything. I've already been hurt by a man once. I won't trust another man again. Please. Don't force me. Shoo, Miranda, it's okay. Nadia won't be angry. Even if she is, I can easily coax her back, Felix said, his tone disgustingly self-assured. Miranda, you may not trust any other man, but you can trust me. I've loved you for so many years. I would never let you down. I'm showing you how much I love you right now. Can't you feel it? Ah. Felix, you're lying. You love Nadia. You even risked your life to save her in college, Miranda said, her voice catching with fake vulnerability. Felix, you love Nadia so much. Now you say you love me? You must be lying. Miranda, Felix said, his voice dropping, I didn't save Nadia in college. It was my uncle who saved her. Nadia misunderstood and thought it was me. I never corrected her. That's why everyone's believed it all these years. Miranda, I truly love you. Nadia is nothing but a distraction when you're not here. Ah. Words are just words. I can't trust any man anymore. Felix, please don't make this harder for me. Even though Nadia is generous, we can only let this happen once. After this, it's over between us. Miranda, my darling, what will it take for you to believe my love? Ah. Unless you're willing to risk your life for me, like your uncle did for Nadia. Only then will I believe in your love. Otherwise, I'll never trust a man again. Chapter 8. The sounds of intimacy, heavy breathing, muffled moans, and occasional whispers emanated from the room, shattering the last fragile defense of my heart. I collapsed onto the floor, my body trembling as I buried my face in my hands, sobbing silently. I had fallen in love with Felix because I believed he had risked his life to save me all those years ago when I was in danger. But over time, my love for him had grown into something far more profound than simple gratitude for a life-saving deed. This love was intricate, layered with emotions I could hardly put into words. It wasn't just a debt of gratitude, it was so much more. Yet I never expected that while I loved Felix with every fiber of my being, he would see me as nothing more than a plaything. Not even a stand-in for someone else. Not even a person. Just an object to amuse himself with. Love begets fear. Love begets hatred. The deeper the love, the higher the walls of hatred it can build. Chapter 9. Felix's uncle, Irving Jameson, is the celebrated CEO of the globally renowned Jameson Group. Irving is Felix's father's half-brother. Originally, he shared Felix's last name. However, when Irving was still a child, his father had an affair with his secretary, abandoning both him and his mother. From then on, Irving took his mother's surname, Jameson. Afterward, his mother succumbed to depression, leaving Irving to navigate life alone. But Irving's extraordinary business acumen set him apart in the competitive world of commerce. Through sheer determination and talent, he built the Jameson Group from the ground up. Under his leadership, the company soared to prominence, cementing its place as an industry dark horse and a leader on the global stage. Chapter 10. A man as accomplished as Irving Jameson, I never imagined having any kind of connection with him, let alone that he would one day risk his life to save me. Curious, I searched online for information about him. After scouring countless articles and photos, I finally recalled a fleeting encounter we had years ago. I was still a teenager when, one night, I saw a woman trip and fall. The bystanders around her kept their distance, but I instinctively went to help her. It was a small, unthinking act. After helping her to her feet, I was ready to leave. But when I saw her staggering toward the road, oblivious to the oncoming trucks, an ominous feeling took hold of me. I dashed forward and pulled her back just in time. Before I could say anything to her, a young man came running toward us, breathless. Chapter 11. From their conversation, I learned that they were mother and son. He thanked me, but I simply waved it off, saying it was nothing. Still, recalling what I had witnessed earlier, I leaned in and whispered, "Your mother was walking straight into oncoming traffic. I suggest you take her to the hospital for a checkup." After saying that, I nodded politely and left. It was a dark night, and I hadn't paid much attention to his face. So when I later came across photos of Irving, it took me a long time to connect the dots and remember our brief encounter. Chapter 12. Reflecting on my unusual connection with Irving and recalling Felix's intense fear of him, an idea for revenge began to take shape in my mind. If Felix could cheat, then so could I. And I could make it hurt. The best way to get back at someone is to make them regret it so deeply that the pain consumes them. Cheating with someone like Miranda? That was nothing. If I was going to do it, I would find someone so far out of his reach that it would be impossible for him to recover. Felix feared his uncle Irving the most, didn't he? Let's see how he handles the thought of his most feared uncle with his ex-wife. Chapter 13. At the Jameson Group headquarters, I patiently approached the receptionist to schedule an appointment with Irving. A company of this caliber was no joke. Even the receptionist was incredibly professional, her courteous and respectful manner exuding the Jameson Group's prestige. But it wasn't surprising. A company often reflects its leader. Irving, despite his imposing aura, was refined and well-mannered, his interactions marked by exceptional poise and grace. After leaving my name and contact information, I waited in the lounge. Before long, the receptionist approached with a polite smile and escorted me to the CEO's office. Chapter 14. Mr. Jameson, I apologize for the unannounced visit. I hope I'm not intruding, I said, keeping my tone formal. You're not disturbing me at all, Miss White. Please, have a seat, he replied. Instead of sitting, I stood and bowed deeply to him. The gesture came from a place of sincerity. After all, this was my chance to thank the man who had saved my life. Mr. Jameson, I owe you an apology. I only recently discovered that the person who saved my life in college wasn't Felix, it was you. Thank you. Without your intervention, I wouldn't be standing here today. For a moment, he looked taken aback before asking, "How did you figure it out?" It wasn't, "How do you know?" His response revealed that he had known all along I had mistaken my savior. I smiled bitterly. I followed Felix to a hotel and overheard him and Miranda discussing it in bed. He was silent for a moment before replying with two simple words. "My condolences." At that, my lingering sadness evaporated, replaced by unexpected amusement. "Ha ha ha, condolences? That makes it sound like he's dead." He responded with complete seriousness, "Anyone who betrays love deserves to die." I couldn't help but agree. Nodding firmly, I said, "You're absolutely right." Chapter 15. Back to the main topic. I hadn't forgotten the purpose of my visit today. "Mr. Jameson, your nephew has made a mistake. As his uncle, shouldn't you take responsibility for some of the damage?" I hinted, my tone deliberate. "I'll teach him a lesson until you're satisfied," he replied. I shook my head, letting a faint smile play on my lips as I looked at him with a touch of mischief. "Mr. Jameson, calling you that feels too formal. May I address you differently?" Leaning on the table with my head resting on one hand, I tilted my head, adopting a playful tone. He didn't respond, but the look in his eyes gave silent consent. "Well, since Felix and I are still legally married, I suppose I'll call you Uncle Irving, just as he does." He nodded slowly, tacitly accepting the new title. "Uncle Irving," I continued, steering the conversation back to the matter at hand, "I don't need you to teach Felix a lesson. I need a different kind of compensation." My words flowed smoothly, each sentence peeling back another layer of my intentions. "And what kind of compensation does Miss White want?" "Uncle Irving, your nephew has taken from me both love and a lover. Don't you think the compensation should come from these two aspects?" My gaze was heavy with implication, and my meaning couldn't have been clearer. Yet he pretended not to understand. "Miss White makes a valid point. So, how do you propose I compensate for your lost love and lover? My prime years have been wasted by your nephew. With the stigma of being divorced, finding a suitable partner will be no easy task. Uncle Irving, don't you think the best way to compensate me is with yourself?" I saw his calm demeanor falter, his expression turning serious. "Miss White, do you know what you're saying?" I nodded. "Of course I know, Uncle Irving. You don't need to worry. Do you love Felix that much? Even after witnessing his betrayal, even after seeing him with Miranda, do you still have feelings for him? Is that why you're using me to make him jealous, hoping to rekindle your marriage and love?" Irving's once gentle expression darkened, and a frown deepened between his brows. Before I could respond, his phone rang. Not wanting to interrupt, I left reluctantly. Chapter 16. Although I was indeed using Irving, it wasn't to make Felix jealous or to win him back. I simply wanted to use Irving as a means to retaliate against Felix, to let him experience the pain of betrayal. From that day on, I began paying closer attention to Irving's movements. Our next meeting happened at a quiet bar. He was there, negotiating a deal with another company. Watching him in the business setting, calm, composed, and effortlessly charming, I found myself unexpectedly captivated. His gestures were smooth and assured, his conversation confident and persuasive. My heart skipped a beat. No wonder Irving was reputed as a heartthrob in our circle. Seeing him in action, I could see why he earned that title. Chapter 17. Irving had already noticed me. After concluding his business and seeing off his clients, he walked directly toward me. I smiled and raised a glass in his direction. "Here, this is for you." I haven't touched it yet. He hesitated, so I teased, "What? Afraid I spiked it?" His eyes lingered on me briefly before he took the glass and downed its contents in one gulp. I arched an eyebrow, stood, and walked toward him. Looping my arms around his neck, I let my weight lean against him, tilting my face up to meet his gaze. Uncle Irving, you look especially handsome today. No, you're always handsome, but tonight. Exceptionally so. Irving glanced briefly at the table I had been sitting at. Have you been drinking? I shook my head, my fingers lightly brushing against his cheek. Not a drop. I gave it all to you. Good girl, he murmured. When I saw him tugging at his tie, I thought he might be uncomfortable with the crowd, so I suggested, it's a bit crowded here. Let's move to a private room upstairs. He nodded and gently disentangled my arms from around his neck, careful not to push me away too harshly. I didn't mind and followed him upstairs. Chapter 18. As we moved closer, I noticed Irving's face was becoming noticeably flushed, his body radiating an almost feverish heat. He hurriedly entered a room and pulled me inside with him. Pushing me against the door, he pinned my hands above my head, his expression taut with restraint. Did you spike the drink? I shook my head fervently. I was planning to drink it myself. Someone must have tampered with it, not expecting you to end up drinking it instead. Are you uncomfortable? Should I help you? Sweat beaded on his forehead, and his visible effort to maintain control unnerved me. Still, I couldn't stop myself from speaking those words. As soon as I did, he released my hands. His dark, stormy eyes locked onto mine, as though they were about to pull me into their depths and swallow me whole. I swallowed nervously, drawn in by his intensity despite myself. Male beauty is truly dangerous. Chapter 19. Irving didn't speak, but his eyes remained fixed on mine. His heated breath brushed against my skin, and I felt as though I were melting under its intensity. I didn't know where I found the courage, perhaps from the way he'd indulged me lately, but my hand slipped under the hem of his shirt, roaming over his skin. When he didn't stop me, only watched with a blazing intensity, I grew bolder, letting my hands wander further. But then he caught my hand, holding it firmly, and pressed his body against mine. His lips brushed close to my ear as he whispered, "Nadia, don't tempt me." I turned my head slightly, and his lips inadvertently landed on my cheek. A sly smile curved on my lips. What if I insist on tempting you? His eyes burned, the fire in them fierce enough to consume us both. If you do, he murmured, his voice low and rough, I won't let you go next time. A knock at the door interrupted the moment. At some point, he must have called his assistant. He opened the door and left with him. Chapter 20. While I was immersed in my cat and mouse game with Irving, developing feelings for him, Felix returned. I endured the strong discomfort in my heart, pretending nothing had happened. I diligently cared for him. He said he felt life was meaningless and wanted to leave this world. Remembering the conversation I overheard at the hotel between him and Miranda, I inwardly mocked Felix's hypocrisy but didn't show it. By now, Felix's intentions were clear. He came today to drag me to die with him. Felix wanted to prove to Miranda that he was willing to die for her. But Felix didn't really want to take any risks. So he came up with the idea of a couple dying together. Even if he didn't die in the end, he could say he was saved. I had to admit, he really didn't see people as people. Did he think the whole world was part of their play? No way, I wouldn't let him have his way. I followed his plan step by step. Soon, as he wished, we agreed to die together. He was doing it for his first love, and I was doing it for my plan to win over Irving. TSK, it was quite fair. Chapter 21. Felix's preparations were thorough, with all kinds of tools. I chose the safest method. On the agreed day, I followed the plan exactly. As expected, he didn't die, just went through the motions, pretending to be saved. As for me, the tool, he had long forgotten. Fortunately, I wasn't there to be his love security. I had already tipped off Irving, who quickly came to save me. But to make it look real, I still suffered some actual injuries. On the way to the hospital, I saw Irving's hands trembling. At that moment, I was sure I had fallen for him. Love, once it starts, goes deep. I didn't know when it happened, from using him to genuinely falling for him. But I didn't mind because he was worth it. So, love it is, as long as he's worth it. Chapter 22. After a minor surgery, I woke up to find Irving sitting by my side, watching over me. I patted his hand, trying to comfort him and let him know I was okay. But he pulled me into a tight embrace, holding me so close. I knew he was worried about me, and my heart warmed. For so many years, I had loved Felix, thinking he was my savior, and endured the most difficult and humbling years of my life. I had given so much, always being the one to compromise, and had long forgotten what it felt like to be cared for. Now, faced with Irving's sincere and passionate heart, I was deeply moved and grateful. Chapter 23. After a bit more rest in the hospital, I couldn't wait any longer. I dragged Irving with me to find Felix. I couldn't stand that scumbag for even one more second. Irving accompanied me to confront Felix, and I finally told Felix the first wanted a divorce. Seeing the shocked faces of everyone in the bar, I felt an immense sense of satisfaction. Leaving the bar, the air felt fresher. In the car, Irving questioned me, and I tried to brush it off with a smile, but it wasn't that easy. So, I decided to be direct. Chapter 24. Uncle Irving, do you remember what you said the last time we met? My hands roamed over him, my eyes seductive, my breath warm. I said, next time, I won't let you go. With that, he didn't hold back anymore and kissed me deeply. The stars and moon outside the car were completely forgotten. By the time we were done, the stars and moon had disappeared. That night, lying in bed, I shared my journey with him. I told him that at first, I did intend to use him to get back at Felix. But over time, I was captivated by his looks, and then I was completely drawn in by his character. Now, I was utterly lost in his tenderness and love. He shared a lot with me too. He thanked me for advising him to take his mother to the hospital all those years ago, which gave him more time with her. I felt it was a wonderful coincidence and felt incredibly happy. Because of a small act of kindness years ago, I had helped the person I now loved and created this bond. It was fate, a perfect match, truly meant to be. He also said he had been watching over me. That's why he was able to save me in time when I was in danger. He said he never regretted letting Felix take credit for saving me because he thought it didn't matter who saved me as long as I was safe. But now, he said he regretted it. Because Felix took credit for his act of heroism, gaining my favor and wasting so many years of my youth. He said he had envied and been jealous of Felix. But he only wanted me to be happy and didn't want me to suffer too much. So, he helped Felix keep the secret, not letting anyone know the truth. But fortunately, after all the twists and turns, we ended up together. Chapter 25. The next day, we wore matching outfits and went to the courthouse to finalize my divorce from Felix. Standing side by side at the courthouse, we attracted a lot of attention. When people saw us in the divorce line, many asked if we were in the wrong place. I smiled, glanced at Felix behind me, and said mockingly, "No, I'm here to divorce the man behind me." Everyone's eyes turned to Felix. Though Felix was somewhat good-looking, he paled in comparison to Irving. Ignoring the murmurs, I finalized the divorce with Felix and then lined up at the marriage window with Irving. This move stunned everyone present, but once they realized what was happening, we received a flood of congratulations. In one day, I got both a green divorce certificate and a red marriage certificate. Irving said the red symbolized passion and the green symbolized vitality, both representing a vibrant life, indicating our future would be happy and lively. Chapter 26. My divorce from Felix didn't cause much of a stir in our social circle. In this circle, divorces were too common. People were immune to such news, at most using it as dinner conversation, but otherwise not paying much attention. However, when news of my marriage to Irving broke, the entire circle was abuzz. My phone was bombarded with messages, all asking if it was true. Irving announced our marriage on the Jameson Group's official social media. In no time, my phone was flooded with well wishes. Irving took my phone away, setting it aside, and sat with me on the couch to watch a movie, ignoring the constant stream of messages. Chapter 27. After our wedding, wherever I went, people congratulated me. I had become adept at nodding and smiling, thanking them for their blessings. Irving took me to every event. Whenever we encountered Felix's friends, they would avoid us, looking guilty. I didn't care, because they meant nothing to me. Chapter 28. One time, while grabbing a piece of cake, I returned to find Miranda hovering around Irving. I quietly listened to her disguised insults and fake compliments. I crossed my arms, watching the show, seeing her persist despite Irving's repeated rejections. I clapped my hands, drawing everyone's attention. Before, when I was Mrs. Lee, Miranda always needed Felix's company. Now that I'm Mrs. Jameson, she's clinging to my husband. It seems Miranda really likes dealing with married men. Ladies, be careful. Miranda's face turned black. The crowd started whispering, mostly criticizing Miranda. Several ladies whose husbands had been flirted with by Miranda also chimed in, making Felix lose face. After all, Miranda was attending the event as Mrs. Lee. I wasn't done yet. I saw Felix's parents in the crowd and walked over with Irving. Chapter 29. Mr. and Mrs. Lee, what a coincidence to see you here. You were my in-laws, after all. You came, and so did Miranda. Who's cleaning the house? Isn't it usually said that women should stay home and do chores while men go out? How come Miranda is out today? Seeing their darkened faces, I guessed Miranda had instigated Felix. After arguing with his parents, they reluctantly let Miranda attend the event. After saying my piece, I left, not wanting to see their family make a scene. It had nothing to do with me anymore. Chapter 30. After the event, Irving and I were busy planning our wedding. Sweetness surrounded us. But the Felix family wasn't so lucky. Since Miranda was called out for flirting with married men at the event, Felix became suspicious. When he found out the truth, he divorced Miranda in a fit of rage. As the guilty party, Miranda left with nothing. Felix's idealized image of Miranda shattered, and he spent several days drunk in bars. Perhaps it was the unattainable that always stirred the heart, or maybe he couldn't stand seeing his ex-wife happier than him. Felix started pestering me, saying he regretted everything. He claimed he didn't know many things I did for him, saying Miranda had deceived him. He asked for my forgiveness, even thinking I was with Irving to spite him. He really didn't get it until the end. For people like him, the best way was to let him see the truth and shatter his beliefs. Chapter 31. Every time Felix called, I answered. But I didn't answer to let him repent. I put the call on speaker, letting the ladies I invited hear his supposedly sincere but definitely humble pleas for reconciliation. Ladies, what should I do? I asked, pretending to be troubled. Felix, on the other end, was clearly stunned by my question. The ladies' responses, full of disdain, made Felix furious. But that wasn't enough. I added another blow. Ladies, you make good points. I appreciate the advice. As for whether I still have feelings for Felix, let me answer now. Felix is nothing. He doesn't measure up to my husband. He's not even worthy of tying my husband's shoes. Not to mention the huge gap between him and my husband, just the fact that he cheated, and with a serial cheater like Miranda, he doesn't deserve to be compared to my husband. From the start, he let me believe he saved my life, taking credit for my husband's heroism. So, from the beginning, my relationship with him was a mistake. Now that everything is back on track, how could I still think about him? The ladies eagerly discussed the juicy gossip. One lady asked a pointed question, delivering a final blow to Felix. Mrs. Jameson, Felix is still Mr. Jameson's nephew. Isn't it a bit harsh to embarrass him like this? I smiled, why should I care? He's a nobody who climbed up through dirty means. He'll come crawling back in less than 3 days. The same words Felix used to boast to his friends before our divorce. Today, I repaid the humiliation he caused me. I wanted to ask him, how does it feel to be publicly humiliated? But it was nothing compared to what I endured. Felix, realizing his shame, hung up the phone. But I wasn't done with the Felix family. They were the ones who wronged Irving and his mother. Why should they live in peace? The Felix family's sins would be exposed, one by one. They dared to commit these acts, they must face the consequences. I vaguely recounted how Felix's grandmother went from being Mr. Felix's secretary to his wife. The more vague, the more people would dig for details. That's human nature, curiosity. Sure enough, the next day, the Felix family became the hot topic. No one from the Felix family dared to show their faces. Chapter 32. With the Felix family dealt with, I fully immersed myself in planning my wedding with Irving. But in reality, I was just offering ideas. Irving did most of the work. Irving didn't leave the wedding entirely to the designers, because he said only a personally arranged wedding, filled with love, was the best wedding. I was often moved by Irving's words. Appearance reflects the heart. Irving rarely spoke sweet words, but his casual remarks always stirred my heart deeply. The final wedding wasn't grand, but it was incredibly warm. Because it was filled with our love, I believed it was the grandest wedding in the world. I teased, he laughed. I occasionally acted out, he indulged. The rest of our lives were spent in this happiness, day by day. The wounds from my past love were completely healed, replaced by new, better skin. Love is both poison and medicine. It depends on whether you meet the right person. It depends on whether you're willing to let go of the poison, heal, and seek the right person. It depends on whether you can seize the moment and truly care for those who love you. But, no matter what, love is just an accessory, a seasoning. It's great to have it, but don't be sad if you don't. Because love isn't just about romance.